Good morning. This is a public hearing of the Special Assessment Commission for the City of Fargo. My name is Steve Bladholm, and it's my turn to be the chairman of this meeting. And thank you for coming this morning. The Special Assessment Commission is made up of the three of us. We are not city employees, but rather private, citizens, just as yourselves. We are appointed to this position. The longest tenured member would be Dan Dunn, who was appointed by Mayor Furness, and he's been on for over 20 years, correct?
Yes.
And the newest member is Randy Engelstead, who was just recently appointed by Mayor Mahoney. And so this is his first public hearing, so welcome. And my name is Steve Bladholm, as I said, and I was appointed over 10 years ago by Mayor Wallaker. So we also have members of city staff from the Special Assessment Office. We have Dan Eberhardt and Linda Stewart, Doug Durgan, and from the City Engineer's Office, we have Tom Knockmoose. They're here to assist us in answering any questions that you may have regarding the projects that you are here to discuss this morning. This is a very informal process. What we ask you to do when I call out the project number is that you would please go over to the microphone over there and state your name and address and the concern that you have regarding the project within the neighborhood that you live in or work in. And with that, I think that we'll just start right in. It's Thursday morning at 9 o'clock, and some of you may have taken time off from work to be here. So the first one that we'll call out would be, would be BR 16F, which is Chuck Sepp. If you would please go over there.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've been a resident of Fargo-Moorhead for approximately 20 years, and it seems like all the time our neighborhood is struck for special assessments, whether it's city streets or street improvements, water breakdowns. This seems to be way too high of a figure for a homeowner to have to pay. And especially since all the problems that have arisen since the street has been done, that 1/3 of the street has been dug up and redone. This is a major concern that I'm paying $7,000 for something that's not worth it.
Okay. Yeah, we prior to this meeting, just a couple weeks ago, we drive over every single project that's on the list of special assessments for this round. And yes, we heard that there were a number of issues on this project. Maybe Tom might be able to say more about what address your concerns.
Yeah, like you say, we did have some issues. There were some warranty repairs that had to be made along the project, and those were done by the contractor at the contractor's expense. It's nothing that cost the city additional funds, and it was certainly nothing that was passed on to any of the property owners through special assessments. I do understand your concern, but ultimately what was initially provided through the contract by the contractor didn't meet our specifications. And so then there was some additional work that had to be done by the contractor to remedy those, and there are some patches along the street. In a couple of years, those will be repaired. We'll install a seal coat over the surface of the roadway. That project is 100% city funded. There are no special assessments attached to that. Any cosmetic issues at that point will be cleaned up through that project as well.
Like I say, it just seems strange that one whole block of the street, one whole block has been torn up and redone. Waste of money. everywhere I see in the city of Fargo. A few years ago, it was our sidewalks. They had to be done. They took 1/2-inch rebarb out of the sidewalks and put 3/8-inch rebarb in. I asked them why. They said, oh, it's stronger. How can 3/8 be stronger than 1/2-inch? The things that the city has us pay for is crazy.
Did you wish to protest this project then, and, pardon me? You will? Okay, all right, we'll make a note of that, and then, the next step in that process would be that you would address the city commission, at their next meeting, and, you know, tell them what you told us, and because ultimately, they're the last ones to make a decision as to whether there could be some relief or not. Okay, thank you for being here. The next project that we're going to discuss would be BN 17A, which is 19th Avenue North, and apparently there's somebody from Mid-America Steel here.
We just had a question. We just received the notice of the assessment, and we were wondering, is that the extent of that project? Are there more phases to that project, or is that project essentially complete now?
It's done, isn't it?
It is done. You know, just west of your west driveway, it narrows down to 3 lanes. There, you know, it was designed that in the future that we could add additional lanes if there needed to be.
Okay.
I don't know, Dan can maybe answer the question as far as if you recall how that was special assessed, how that was broken out, whether that band would start, if we were to widen the 3-lane section, if those assessments would only be carried to the portion west of Mid-America?
It would be assessed back to the whole district because we used our cap and our arterial band to fund that whole stretch from 57th, I believe, to 45th. So we'd come back and use the rest of the cap. We only used a portion of the cap on that one. Of the $313 that we could have used in the funding policy, we assessed $203 a foot. So we have a balance of that cap we could use to fund that last 3 lanes.
So that, to my knowledge, just trying to think of the project, that's the only thing I can think of that we would maybe add on. The only other thing I can think of is potentially a signal at 45th Street and 19th Avenue. If that were to be installed, it would depend on the funding policy at the time, whether that would be special assessed or not.
Okay. So what you were saying was there's an option, if you will, for another 33%, give or take,
Approximately, yes.
of what those numbers are for that entire district. There's another maybe 30% of that could come later.
Correct. Approximately $100 a foot.
That's really all I had.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you want to discuss the SN 16B sidewalk protest? Just file it.
What was that?
The sidewalk protest, the SN 16B?
Oh, yes, we received a letter of protest from a resident affected by project SN 16B by Dave Engebretson. It was a formal letter of protest for his involvement within this project along 40th Avenue. And so we will forward this letter of protest to the City Commission for their review. And we just want to make note that because he was unable to be here today, but he wanted to express his concern in written form that he protests this project. So. Was,
Okay, we have one
was
more.
the gentleman in the back of, here to,
Frederick? Did you want to come up, Frederick? Okay.
On
what project?
PR 17B, South University Drive,
Okay.
18th to 21st.
I'm Fred Hammer, and I noticed, I live on 14th and Half Street, why my specials got so high for this project that I got this notice for $1,020, and basically, it doesn't impact me at all. I mean, it's a through street. Now, I'm 3 blocks off of there. Why would my specials be that high?
This is for the South University Drive project?
I guess so, that's what you tell me. It doesn't say in my.
Oh, it doesn't say? Okay. Yeah, this is where they improved South University Drive from I-94 down to 18th Avenue, and it was bid through the North Dakota DOT. So there was a lot of federal funding involved in it and state funds because there were components that were part of the on-off ramps that are under the DOT, and then there was about $600,000 of sales tax that was put towards defraying the cost of that project to the local property owners. And so within the assessment district that was determined for the benefiting properties is that your home fell under that area. And so that's the reason why you were paying for part of that. Because everybody pays for a north-south, east-west arterial band that you use. There's a high probability that you use it all the time, and that's how it is for everybody. Where I live, it would be 25th Street and 32nd Avenue within my, so when those projects were done on 25th Street South and 32nd Avenue South, is that I fell within that assessment district, improvement district, and then I ended up paying specials for that.
Well, I'm just here to think it's awful high for one single house to pay that much just for 3 blocks away for federal highway, basically. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, sir. Well, there are no other folks who have shown up to protest or voice their opinion or ask questions, so I think that we'll probably stay on for a couple more minutes in case somebody gets here late. So we'll just see. Thank you.
This might sound like a really silly question, but I have a lot of people I talk to in Fargo. Where did the money come for this new city hall?
That's really not within our jurisdiction.
I'm not,
Yeah.
I cannot answer that.
That's the question that us taxpayers want to know, because we're struggling to pay special assessments while the city gets this brand-new building. That's unreal.
To answer that question, sir, you could contact the city commission or our finance office, and they will be able to tell you how this building was financed. Thank you. Signatures?
Yeah. The time is 9:20, and there have been no other citizens who have come to this public hearing. So given that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Seconded.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.